Guys, I need to show you something.
Look at all the content I was able to create from my Iceland trip. This is just from a 2.5 day trip. From the trip, I made 5 long form videos. Then I made, let's count this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 short form videos, and I'm still making more. And then I shot a whole bunch of photos that I've now been editing, and I haven't even edited through all of them. There's probably like 30 solid photos right there.
So why am I sharing this with you guys? Well, I feel like lately I've cracked the code when it comes to maximizing my potential at creating content. And you guys know how I am. I don't like keeping secrets with you guys because I want to help you guys out as much as possible. So that's why in this episode, I'm going to be sharing my secrets on how to create content and post consistently. Every time I hop on a plane and go and explore a new country, I always just feel so grateful. That being said, in this life season where I'm a husband and a dad, I recognize that my time is so limited. There's only so many times a year where I can go out, so I want to make sure I make it count. Going into this trip to Iceland, I wanted to come out with as many long-form videos as possible without sacrificing on quality, and as well just a buttload of short-form content and photos to post. Because at the end of the day, I'm a content creator, and that's what I do. And I feel like on this trip, it was the first time I actually did it right. So my process for going into a trip like Iceland is to spend a whole bunch of time and energy planning. Because you know how the saying goes, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. If you go into a shoot or a trip like this with no plan at all, you're most likely gonna completely fail or come back with a half-done video. I hear of so many stories where creators go out, they don't have a plan at all, they just think, I'm just gonna shoot a whole bunch of things, and when they come back, they realize they really don't have anything. They just have a whole bunch of content, but it doesn't really piece together well, and in the end, it's just an epic fail. So that's why you gotta make sure that you take time to plan, because that's the only way you're gonna experience success. So my first step in planning is ideation. Basically, the week before the trip to Iceland, I wanted to spend a whole bunch of time coming up with ideas and scripting them out. So for me, the first logical and interesting idea that came to my mind was, what if I did a video about what's in my travel camera bag? Because the gear that I'm gonna be taking on this trip was a lot different than I've done on previous trips or shoots I've been on. And as well, mix that video in with me traveling to Iceland. So it's gonna be, a half what's in my travel camera bag, half travel vlog experience. And that was video number 1. Then the second video idea that I came up was a tutorial on how to set up your camera in order to be a hybrid shooter. Because for me, whenever I'm on a trip, I'm shooting a whole bunch of photos, I'm vlogging, I'm going to epic B-roll mode, which means I'm constantly changing things up. And if I was having to, manually go and adjust the frame rates and the shutter speeds and go back between photo and video, it would be an absolute nightmare. So I wanted to share that setup of how I use custom dial modes in order to be able to be a hybrid shooter on these kind of trips. If you have no clue what I'm talking about, but you're interested, I'll link the video right here so you can enjoy and learn on how to set up your custom dial modes for your camera. Anyways, from there, I knew that I'd want to bring the Fujifilm X100V on this trip because up until that point, I'd only been shooting with this camera, just everyday memories of my friends and family. But this would be the first time where I could take this camera on an actual epic trip. So I decided I'm gonna take as many photos as possible with this camera, and then afterwards in studio, I can sit down and talk about my process and the different Fujifilm recipes that I was shooting with on the trip. And then because I knew as well I'd be shooting a whole bunch of photos with my Sony a7S III and editing them, I knew that I could do a nice editing breakdown of the photos that I was shooting from the trip. And lastly, I made this video talking about how to create content and post consistently. So 5 long form videos just from one trip. Now I think the secret to maximizing the amount of content you make from one trip is knowing which videos you can film beforehand. For example, I knew that I could film the what's in my travel camera bag beforehand here in my office and then link that with me traveling to Iceland. And then I knew that I would be able to film one video while I'm actually there on location, and then take photos with the camera, film this afterwards, and as well film afterwards tutorials of me editing and as well how to create content. So I try not to do too many videos all in one location. I try to spread them out, that some videos are filmed beforehand, some videos are filmed there, and then some videos are filmed afterwards. And the way I can do this is by planning. By planning, I know what I need to shoot beforehand, what I need to shoot while I'm there, and what I need to be able to shoot afterwards in order to make the video happen. I honestly feel like if I tried to film 5 different videos while on location during the short trip, I probably would have come back with 5 mediocre, half-done videos, or I just would have miserably failed completely. In my opinion, it's just not possible to get that many videos done on location. But if you do spread them out and you film some beforehand, some while you're there, and some afterwards, then I think it's much more possible. Step 2 in my planning process is scripting. Once I have my ideas chosen, then I start writing a script for those video ideas. And for me, that's writing different talking points and as well a mixture of shot lists, knowing what kind of shots I need to get in order for this video to happen. Having done this beforehand helps me to know what I need to film on location and what I can film afterwards when I come back home, and just make sure that I have everything I need in order to edit that long form video. It also helps you not to overdo filming, because if you film just way too much content, then when you come back home, you have way too much to edit and go through, and it's just gonna really slow down the process. So by having a script and shot list, I know what I need to film, and once I've filmed it, I'm good to go. And the last and final step in my whole planning process is figuring out how I can repurpose my content. Basically, once I've got my idea, once I've got my scripts made, then I figure out, well, how can I, based on the long form videos that I'm creating, come up with ideas that would be perfect for short form content. On this trip, I knew that I would be shooting with a variety of cameras, with my A7S III, with the Fujifilm X100V, and with 2 different drones. So I knew that I could, based on that content, come with a whole bunch of ideas for short form videos. Some of the short form content did require me to film certain clips or photos on location, but a lot of it I could just film and edit afterwards. For example, I knew that I wanted to do a short form video on my DJI Mini 3 cinematic settings, so I wanted to film one shot of the actual DJI Mini 3 on location, and then with the DJI Mini 3, I filmed a whole bunch of epic shots. This reel alone, at the moment, I think has something like 54,000 views, and I think close to 1,600 saves, which is insane that that many people have decided to save that reel. But I guess it just goes to show that content that provides value is key. So once I had planned out my ideas, scripted out my videos, come up with a shot list for both the long form and short form videos, then there's only one thing to do: go out and shoot. And honestly, having done all this planning beforehand made the whole trip experience so much more enjoyable, because I'm not stressing out so much while on location. I'm just having fun shooting, and I know what I need to get done. And the honest truth is that without planning, there's no way that I could go on a short trip like this trip to Iceland and come back home with so much content that I could be able to post consistently for weeks afterwards. In my opinion, that is the power of planning. It's gonna help you succeed when you're a content creator. In the end, it's a simple step, and it's actually not gonna take you that much time to plan and come up with these ideas, but once you do, you're gonna end up saving so much time and energy afterwards. So please, don't skip out on this step. Anyways, I would love to hear from you guys. What are some tips and tricks that you guys have for coming up with how to create content and post consistently? And as well, I would love to hear from you guys. How have you been enjoying the Iceland content? What has been your favorite long form video? Which one has been your favorite short form video? I would love to hear. Comment below, because I love interacting with you guys.